Tell me what is going on with your feet.
So in the past month, I've started running a lot.
Okay.
And
What's considered a lot?
I've been doing like 15 or 14 to 20 miles a week.
Okay.
And I've noticed when I've been running, especially as soon as I get into like mile 2, 3, there's a lot more pressure on my right foot, in particular, like the ball area.
Okay.
And there's like none on my left foot. So I feel like there's some sort of imbalance going on, and it causes a little bit of pain, not a lot, but it's more of just like an overall imbalance. Okay. And I'm trying to see if there's any way I can correct it.
Is the pain every single time you run, or only certain times you run, or only long runs?
I would say runs longer than 3.5, 4 miles.
Okay, so longer runs. Have you ever hurt this ankle?
When I was younger, I sprained both my ankles a few times, so yes, but never like shattered it.
Okay. And have you done anything to alleviate the pressure or the pain? Or is it painful, or is it just that you feel it?
It's more just that I feel the pressure. It's not like a sharp pain or anything like that.
Okay, excellent. All right, so let's just take a look at how your feet lay normally. So if your feet hurt in general, do you do any exercises for them? Do you stretch or strengthen your foot or toes?
No, so the closest thing to exercising my feet would be walking the beach.
Okay, so barefoot, of course.
Yes, barefoot.
Okay.
Barefoot.
And when you are running, what sneakers are you wearing?
I wear Brooks Glycerins.
Okay, and you wear the same pair every day, and do you run every day, or do you have a day of rest in between?
Yeah, so I run 3 days a week, so it's really like every other day.
All right.
And use your.
Do you wear those glycerins all day and then run, or do you just wear them for running?
That kind of varies. Some days I do wear them all day and then go into a run. Other days I'll wear like a casual shoe.
Okay.
And then run the next day with the Brooks.
Do you wear them on the days you're not running?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. So ideally, I'm a nerd for sneakers. I feel like you need to have 2 pairs of sneakers at all times going, so that you never wear the same pair of sneakers 2 days in a row, because you need to give it 12 hours to rebuild. So if you wear your sneakers from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night when you go to bed, that's not enough time for those sneakers to actually refill their air gels so that you can run with cushion the next day. You're just beating it down. So that's why your sneaker will not feel as cushy or comfortable. And so it's not great for the sneaker. So ideally 2 pairs makes them last a little longer, but it allows for the cushion to be there. So that would give you at least a little bit more cushion in the ball of your foot. Do you wear orthotics, any kind of pad inside of the shoe?
Not inside of my running shoes, no.
Okay. So when we look at your foot, what we want to do is look first, and you can look at your own feet. Where is your calluses? If you don't get pedicures on a regular, have you had a pedicure?
I've never had a pedicure, so.
So when you don't have pedicures, then we get to see what calluses are forming. Now, calluses aren't bad. Calluses are just telling us where's the pressure going. So it's great for me to know, okay, here's a person with callus. So why does he have callus? How does he have callus? Is the callus in the middle between the second and third toe? On the toes, so your second toe is not longer than your first, but it's close on this right one and not at all on the left one. So we do have obviously discrepancies or differences between right and left foot. Are you right-handed?
I am.
So you're probably, right-legged. Which leg did you kick with? Your left?
No, I'm actually left. So I was a soccer player growing up.
Okay.
Kick with my left, do everything else with my right.
Okay, so you planted though with the right, which
yes.
Power moves, yep. So you can plant and pivot. Okay, perfect. So when you were soccer players, which mind you has zero support, especially in the ball of your foot, it's possible that you did some stuff then to cause what you're feeling now, which probably not that many years ago that you played soccer. So, yeah. But cleats in general just don't have any support in the respective cushion, especially in the ball of your foot, that you can actually hit the ball and do all the things that you do with a soccer ball. So let's put that in the back of my head so I know. All right, so now we're gonna look actually at the calluses. So you actually have a bigger callus and a bigger arch insert here and step of the left, okay? So when I just look eyeballing it, I can just feel and determine that this is your whole toe is down lower than this one is. Your instep is higher on this foot than this. So once again, 2 different sides, and later we'll actually have you stand up and see exactly what does your foot do when you put weight bearing on it. Because what your foot looks like when it is non-weight bearing is not always the same as what it looks like when you weight bear. And then when you throw in running, you are, quadrupling the amount of pressure going through the joint. And so therefore it definitely changes how the foot actually hits the ground. It's one of my favorite classes I ever took on how to make orthotics and how the body is generated. When the foot hits the ground, what actually happens? And how does that affect the entire chain of your body? So that's kind of what we want to look at. And we want to determine different aspects of it. So this foot does not bother you. You have no issue. So I'm going to kind of play with this to get my what's so-called Dan normal. And then we'll take a look at what's potentially bothering you. So we want to look at mobility of the ankle, and exercises for the ankle and the foot. Most people don't do them, but they actually are really important. They improve your balance. They help with allowing 27 different muscles to actually turn on and do their job so that when we are walking and running, it's not all the bones that are getting the pressure, but the muscles themselves. So what we want to look at is how easy is it for each part of your bones and your foot and your toes to move independently. And of course, some of the ligaments and some of the nerve systems all affect, like they keep two toes together. Like the pinky toe and the last toe actually kind of work together as one unit. And these two actually share a neuroma, meaning they share one nerve. So when people talk about neuromas, they get it right here on the top of their ball of their foot. It feels like there's a pebble in their shoe at all times, and it's very uncomfortable. And so these do share that one pocket of nerve coming through. So those are important. That's why it's so vital when we talk to people about wearing shoes. So even when you go home, if you have tile floor or marble floor, there's nothing there.
So I should still be wearing shoes at home.
But I feel like find a house shoe, something with a rubber back to allow for some cushion. Because walking barefoot on hard surfaces like concrete, tile, as I said, hardwood floor usually can have some cushion, but that's only if you bought the extra cushion so that it bounces. But in general, humans today, and that's today, we were barefoot for years and we were fine and we could do all this, but now we don't. We have shoes, we have support, and we've gotten babied almost in our shoes and our feet, so that now we need to have cushion and provide that with us so that it does not hurt the rest of the joints up the chain. This is the first thing that's hitting the ground. It takes the initial shock. So you want to make sure that no matter what part your foot is that it can handle the support and the shock. So we look, you have an increased callus here on the inside of your foot, not on the outside of your foot. So technically, if I was going to say what the perfect gait pattern is, it's almost hitting middle to lateral side and then rolling diagonal off of your big toe. So we look for those to find that's where your callus is. So we're doing okay, except for you hit on the inside. So when we work,
so like my foot is, when I'm running, almost a little,
you're hitting all inside like this. Now, do you usually do trail runs or do you usually do concrete runs?
So as of lately, it's mainly been concrete runs.
Okay. So concrete, in Florida where we are, the roads are beveled. So if you're not on a sidewalk, you're on the right side of the road going out, on the left side of the road back, which means you're beveled and in a ditch. So one leg is sitting there going lower and lower, and the road is doing this, which means your foot has to do the opposite. So those are all things that can create this to be an issue without it, it's just started because it's something you feel, there's something going on. It's just different. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different. And your feet are different. You are definitely two is not the same.
They're not symmetric.
They are not symmetric. And that doesn't mean it's bad. That's just you. So if I do this, do you feel a big stretch on both sides or just the right?
Mainly just the right. I feel it right there a lot. I don't feel it quite as much on the left.
And then, we do have a lot of little bones that all have to, if you hit the ground like this, all these bones are like domino effect, have to go into the perfect position in order to have the stability and the support to push off our big toe to propel you forward. So all of these alignment things matter. And we wear those lovely shoes that are flat with no support, or flip-flops that don't have any arch support, what you're doing, you're just flattening and crushing and doing that. So it's really important to be kind to your feet, massage your feet, love your feet. You only get two. That is it. These are the only two you get. You're not getting a new one, so you should really be nice to them. So what we want to look at is range of motion. How much motion do you have? Do you feel that tightness? Do you feel it more in the Achilles? Do you feel it more in the heel? Do you feel it more in the calf?
I feel most in the calf. I feel all the way up to like here.
Okay, perfect. Now bend your knee a little bit so you can get the other calf muscle. And now you don't feel it in the calf and you feel it more in the Achilles or in...
I would say in the Achilles.
And if I add this big toe, where do you feel it?
Still in the Achilles.
So nothing in here. Even though I could play the banjo on this, yes, I could. So we want to look at how tight the plantar fascia. So this is your spring ligament. This is your ability to jump, your posterior tendon. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but this is where everyone talks about plantar fascia. And they talk about that. I got the plantar fasciitis, so I can't do anything. Well, a lot of it is stemmed from poor shoe wear, overworking your feet, or kind of it sounds so silly, but literally you can wear a really bad shoe for one day and you had to run across the street and you can cause a shin splint or a plantar fasciitis in just that click. Okay, because the calf muscles overall are too tight and the shin muscles are too weak. So these muscles matter to have the health of your foot. So if you're just running as your exercise and you're not stretching the calf with your knee bent and with your knee straight or strengthening your shin muscles, you're already doing a disservice. So your foot doesn't already, it's kind of getting, hey, I'm working a lot without having any support or any of the proper ability to get into the position. You said you haven't really strengthened, so no TheraBands, no picking up weights, no picking up things with your toes, things like that. So those are all important to see, what can the toes do? Can you make all those toes go around my finger? Good. And you have long toes, so you really want to work them because then it works all these different muscles. So a great exercise for toes is to take a towel and put it flat on the floor and scrunch it up into a ball. Okay, so you work all of those muscles so that we're stretching and working all of these muscles on the bottom of your foot and on the top of your foot. Also picking things up with these toes. So actually picking up a piece of paper and putting it in a cuff, or picking up a sock on the floor, things that you need to do, because then you get to work and know that independently you can work all of these toes and all of these foot muscles so that we know that the muscles are engaged to protect the pounding that's going on here. Now, if I push right on the ball, this foot is that tender.
That's uncomfortable.
So, and that's different than this side.
Yeah, I feel,
right.
But that's...
Now, you don't nearly have any callus in comparison to this. So way more callus here, less callus here. So while you're running, that would tell me you're probably avoiding putting weight on there. But at some mile 3 and 4, you kind of can't avoid it because the rest of your foot's like, hey, I'm tired.
Yep.
So you're rolling over onto this. So, when I look at the bottom of the foot, we look here and you actually have a pretty clean foot, not a lot of calluses. So you're not using the ball of your foot. Do you know by chance, if you were a kid, did you walk only on your toes or did you walk more flat-footed? If you're a soccer player, calves are a big...
I feel like I walked with a bounce a lot as a kid, so probably more on my toes. Yeah.
So we want to look at, okay, here's my range of motion. So point your toe all the way down. Good. Still have that pressure here. Pull it all the way back. Good. Now, relax it a little bit. Push your foot into my hand. Good. Now try not to do it. Come back. Don't let the rest of you move. Just put the ankle out. Push, 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 push. Good. And then let's go inside. Push all the way in. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. So we want to look at where's our range of motion inside the ankle and does it move? Did any of those hurt?
No, that didn't hurt.
So push it out to the side. Hold it there. Don't let me move it. Let's take a look at the strength. So these test all these muscles. Good. Let's go that way. Hold it there. Don't let me. So bring it all the way out to the side. Good. Don't let me move it. Don't let me. Don't let me. Don't let me. Don't let me. Does that hurt?
It started to hurt a little bit, almost up near my calf.
Okay. So
just a little though. It wasn't.
So up in here, two different things. You have your hamstring set and starts down here below your knee, and your calf muscles attach above, and the soleus attaches below. So you do have calf muscles right here, which is pretty tight actually right here.
Yeah, it feels tight.
You want to know that this muscle does affect how you are able to turn your foot in or out. Invert, invert and then evert. So those are important things, or pronate and supinate. So those are words that you hear and they actually create shoes. The shoe that you're wearing is actually a stability shoe. So it tries to keep you much more flat and provide you that stability so that you're not moving all over the place, which is a great shoe to be running with on concrete. Now, I'm going to go on trails. You do need a stability shoe, but you got to really work with, do I need more ankle support? Do I need more things like that? Because your foot is being asked to do so much more.
Going a lot more directions.
Exactly. So let's do one more thing here and take a look. I'm going to go into what's called subtalar joint neutral, meaning that you're in the most proper position I could ever get your foot in. It doesn't mean you ever stand in that, but that's what the difference between a custom orthotic versus a non-custom orthotic is that someone can actually kind of bring your foot in here and test where you are and figure out how to make your foot exactly where the most aligned position would be between your talus, your calcaneus, the tibia, the fibula, everything, so that everything's in this perfect position. And this ideally is where we would want your orthotic to have your foot. So when you hit the ground, we get a chance that you're gonna hit the heel properly and that you're gonna actually be able to use all of the muscles and tendons that you are supposed to use. So that's ideally what we do. I can get to that position. Now, whether you can keep it there is a whole nother game. So we do that more standing and doing weight bearing. So any questions or anything that hurt drastically when we just take a look quickly at all your foot?
No, I was just thinking, so with what I've explained, like kind of like what you were saying, it'd be good for me to have an orthotic that gave a little bit of support on the outside to kind of balance that out for when my heel comes down to my foot. That makes sense?
Yeah, so when we stand you up, and we'll take a look at that, the importance of an orthotic is to provide you with support and stability, that it is not supposed to correct everything. You correct to a point, not fully, okay? You want at least an eighth for allowing your own foot to do it. It's like when you buy a pair of shoes. You should buy a shoe that you can splay your feet. Can you open your toes all the way up and splay them? So that's hard for you to get, right?
No.
Open those.
And I know having webbed feet is a good sign of, you know.
So the ability to be able to open your toes and splay them and have space for it. It's why we always buy a shoe that's at least a thumb width of our own width. Too large. You know, you want it to be bigger than that so that there's room for your foot to splay, to open, and to move in the shoe to allow for this to have proper positioning when you are walking and running. So that's kind of where we want. So let's have you stand up. So what I look for is, how does your foot hit the ground? Where is your weight going? Is this a normal feeling walk for you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then walk back. All right, so come on over here and you're gonna face that way. Good, and face that way. So when I look at you and how you're walking, you're putting all of your weight on the outside of your foot, which is surprising. I was assuming you were gonna have a lot more falling inward, and you're not. You also have, even standing here, all of your weight, I'm guessing, is right here.
Yeah.
Okay, and on this side, it's a little bit more centered, not as much out. Bring your feet together. So you have a little bit, just a tad of a bow on this leg, not as much on this leg. All right, now your Achilles is also much thicker on the left than it is on the right. And your angle between the middle of your Achilles and your middle and your calf is definitely not centered. It's definitely off and veered to the right, giving you more of that concept of a potential bow leg, but also where all of your pressure, so your weight's coming down in your body, and boom, this is centered, is over here, not centered here where we want to put the weight. And then what I want to look at is, give me a little itty bitty squat. So a mini squat and then come back up. So what I'm looking at is to see if your arch of your foot drops at all. So come on down, and yours does not at all. And then come back up. Okay, and you actually hardly put any weight on your big toes. Now, if you go up on your toes, nope, go up on them. Good, do you even use that? You do use that, kinda. And then come back down. All right, now go back up on your toes again. Good, that's what I thought I would see, which is you don't really use your big toes. You're trying to use all the weight here. This big toe is what gives you balance, okay? That's what we want the weight through. So you have a little bit more of a growth of callusing on this leg, on that toe, than you do on this side. Now, go up on your big toe again. Think about your big toe. Think about it. Think about it. How hard is that for you?
That's fairly difficult.
Okay, your calf definition is a little bit better. Come back down on the right than it is on the left. Any discomfort in the calves?
No calf discomfort.
Any Achilles pain?
A little bit of, yeah, a little bit on each side. I would say maybe a little bit more on my right, but I feel a little bit of Achilles discomfort on both.
And that's up more here or right inside the tendon?
Inside the tendon.
All right, now put your right foot in front of your left toes. Good. So balance is definitely a thing, and your lateral muscles are really trying to work. Good. Switch it so the right foot is back and your left is forward. Is one side easier than the other?
Yeah, I think this side is easier.
Yeah. So you're not as much firing of all of the muscles. Okay, good. And come back. Now, I want you to bring your heels together and turn your toes out, and then try to go up on your toes.
Like this?
Yes, please. Can you keep those heels together? Good. And then come back down. Easier or harder?
I'll say a little harder.
Than the straight, correct?
Yeah.
All right, now put your toes together and kick your heels apart.
Like this?
Yes, please. Big toes stay together. Whoa.
Oh, actually? Yeah, no, that was more difficult. I'm going to take that back.
Any discomfort when you do that?
Let me see again. No discomfort, just major imbalance.
Major imbalance, okay. Now, let's have you stand on your right leg only. Where do you feel the weight?
I feel the weight almost like on my calf.
Yeah, so I feel like
And on the outside, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. All right, let me see the left. Where's your weight?
I feel like my weight's more kind of centered on my foot.
Agreed with you,
Here.
100%. Yes. All right, so let's go back to the right foot. So if you have complaints of not feeling or having discomfort.
But when I counterbalance, I notice that all my weight goes on where I was having discomfort.
Exactly.
So I'm either balancing all on the right side of my foot, or when I counter that, it goes just completely onto the ball.
Yeah, so the tendency is good. Stop and turn around towards me. All right, the tendency is we overcompensate. All right, so you don't know, but unconsciously your body is all lateral. So you're like, oh, I got to get over here. And this is where I'm going to push off. Because if you think about any of the running drills that you look at, they're really trying to make you land on the ball of your foot and push off. And it's this whole concept of it.
Yep.
Fan, not a fan, everyone has their way. But everyone has their own gait. And your pattern may never be that. And then you're forcing your body to go into something just because the book said this will make you faster, rather than, hey, my foot's more comfortable in this position and I can run miles here with no discomfort.
Yep.
Why are you changing it? Because of a book that said mechanically for that person who wrote that book, who is studying those people, had feet that could do that. That's great, but yours might not be able to, because not everyone is built the same way when it comes to, you have more hyperextension on the left leg than you do the right. You have more bow-legged on one leg versus the other. All of those things matter, and that makes the foot take on extra or different stresses, which means you can't fit everyone into one version of what's so-called the best way to do it. So my guess is that's what's going on, because your big toe doesn't really you don't have bunions, you don't have bad positioning, you don't have like a lot of swelling. You do have a higher instep here than you do here, and you do have some bow-legged, and you do have some tilt. Are you someone that could be a custom orthotic person? You could. Now, there's also some obliquity and things going on the rest of the chain that's trying to make up for how your feet move around. And that's kind of where all of these things.
The domino effect.
Correct. So if these aren't hitting right, or you're not supporting it enough, and you keep running and you keep hurting and you keep doing, then it's going to be your knees or your hip. Because right now I see you like this and a little bit elevated. And when you're walking, you can see that. So something all on this side is tight.
Well, that makes sense, because I had a pelvic avulsion fracture when I was running in my hip. My tendon pulled off and it broke the bone with it. That was at this point though, like 6-7 years ago. But that's the reason why I hadn't been running. And
so you're compensating for that, and your body's protecting it. So put your legs shoulder width apart. Good. Now, can you keep all of your toes on the ground and your heels, and yet put all of the weights on the outside of your feet? Good. Don't get those big toes up. Gotta keep them down. Good. Now put it all on the inside. Okay. Feel that movement in your ankle. All right. Go on the outside. Good. And then, keep those big toes down. Gotta keep everything down. And then end. All right. So when you go on the outside here, go ahead, go back on the out. Do you feel your glutes then also want to fire?
Yeah, maybe like my top of my hamstrings through my glutes.
Good. So those are the muscles that are supposed to be fires. We want those muscles to work when we're running, but we also want the internal. That's just why I was saying sometimes, idealistically, we want to hit here, but push off here. That's what you're reading and that's what you're trying, but it's overcompensated. And now you have padding, but for whatever reason, the positioning of your toe, and you're flexible, so it's not like you're an inflexible, but when you're laying completely relaxed and I have you in perfect balance, your big toe, the whole joint is dropped. So that means it's already hitting the ground lower, which means that's probably why.
So that's like my body. So what you were saying with how I have a lot of weight here. So and how I explained how up until mile 3, 4 is only when I start feeling it. So that's when my muscles can't support my counteracting of putting that weight on. And then that's when my muscles are kind of like succumbing to hitting that.
So ideally I would tape you first to try things to see how do you feel with this tape job, to see, okay, if I support here and I give you pressure here, and does that give you relief so you don't have it? But ideally for you, you definitely need to learn to work these muscles. So can you keep your toes on the ground, but pull your toes back and create an arch? Yes. Hello, what's going on over there? This one's really high. What happened over there? There we go. And then relax. Now try not to let those, just kind of bring all of them together. Good. Excellent. And down. Does that hurt? Is that hard?
Just difficult. Doesn't hurt.
Oh, okay. So that would be one exercise. Rolling the towel up with your toes, that would be a second one. Picking your socks up or things in the house with your toes, amazing. And then my favorite would be the alphabet, A through Z, with your big toe being the pencil.
Okay.
And trying to strengthen the shin.
So like A.
So if you sit right here and then bring your foot out, now this is your pencil, this is getting to move. So make a capital A cursive letter.
I don't know cursive.
I always know heel down. Okay, so capital letter.
Just
a big A, yep, exactly. So it should look like A and a cross. And then a B. Exactly. And nothing else moves but the ankle and the big toe. And the theory of it is it will strengthen and create mobility of the entire ankle, the foot, the toe, and everything. Also, calf raises, going up on them. Very slow, very controlled, trying to figure out exactly what to do, but do it in the shower. Now, hold on to the wall so you don't hurt yourself. Don't slip. And anyone who's watching this, make sure they do that. But ideally, if you do it barefoot in the shower, it's slippery and it forces more muscles to work in your feet. As you go up on your big toes, it'll actually make all of the muscles in the arch and in the top of your foot have to engage and work, provide you with a stability to stay or the balance to maintain in the shower, and then be able to provide you with increasing your strength of your calf. And I would also do it with your toes straight, toes in, and toes out.
Okay, the 3 different ways that we kind of went over.
Correct.
I definitely have to work on my toe balance as well, and strength, which coincides.
And I would buy a second pair of shoes, and I would make sure that when you're not wearing sneakers, that you are wearing a shoe that provides you with arch support so that your foot will actually relax.
Okay, good to know. So basically from what you see with my feet, the best things would to help my feet strength / kind of keep everything more balanced would be general feet exercises like with the towel, scrunching that up. It would also be doing cursive letters with my actual toe as the I guess point.
As the pencil.
So, and then you had a third one as well, correct?
And then the third one is pick things up with.
Third one is picking. Okay, so that'll be something that.
And then calf raises in the shower.
And then calf raises in the shower.
And then of course you have stretch.
Boom.
And really look at where the distance is, where the pain starts, and what are you doing at that time.
Yep.
And when we think about it, don't always think you can fit into what the book says is perfect. You have to. There's a thing called free throw. You want to feel the ability for the freedom of your foot to do what it wants to do rather than forcing it to do something else to fit inside of a box that it might not be right for. If you're a toe outer, if you're a heel striker, if you're a midfoot hitter versus a ball of the foot, there's all kinds of different ones.
Yes.
None of them are necessarily bad. It's just what you are, not what you're trying to be. Orthotics are a great idea, but they're always for 2 feet. So you make an orthotic because you have 2 different feet. Your 2 different legs, they are not the same. So idealistically, we want to create a orthotic that fits to support almost the extent of the things that are different. Because as I said, your angle from your heel to your calf is not straight. It's not perpendicular whatsoever. It's actually at an angle. And depending on how much that angle is, if it's more than 5 degrees, then we actually need to post so that we can help you and bring your foot up. So once again, when you hit the ground, it actually hits properly rather than in a deficit.
Yep.
So that it causes you this increase of muscles that aren't supposed to be working and pain. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Evaluation and Treat. I hope that these exercises helped you. And if you need any more help with them, you can definitely go to my Hummingbird app, take a look at the foot section, and you can see all those exercises posted, as well as if you want a one-on-one consult, just go to the section and click, I would like an appointment with Kathy.